Hello everybody! Today I'm going to be documenting these photos of my pup who just passed away and my daughter from a few years ago. This is one of my all-time favorite photos, and when I was going through trying to find photos to go with this evergreen collection, which I fell in love with, this is one of them that popped up, and I wasn't sure I'd be ready to document more photos of her yet, but you know what? Just looking at these pictures makes me so happy. Makes me just remember all of the good times we had with her in the snow. She was just in her element. I love this one. This is just like the epitome of her because she loved laying on her back with her paws up in the air. She loved the snow. You can see her little tongue sticking out because she had been licking the snow. It was just like so perfect of her. I was flipping through Close to My Heart's Make It From Your Heart Volume 6 to try to find some inspiration for this layout, and I saw this layout right here, and immediately I thought it would be perfect for these photos. So I printed them to the sizes I needed. These ones are 3x3. This one is called to be a 3x4, but I wanted mine to be bigger, so I'm going to have to do probably some overlapping and adapting the layout to fit my photos. I'm not sure I'm going to do all of the same embellishing like up here and down here as this calls for because of my photos, but also because of my embellishments. There are a lot of snowflakes I want to try to use, so I might be replacing those. I think I'm going to move my title over here. So I'm using this mostly as a jumping off point, as inspiration, and I love that about sketches. But if you do want to follow it exactly, there are the exact measurements and everything over here, and that's how this whole book is. There are example layouts and then the whole blueprint with the cutting directions and everything. So I'm just going to have this off to the side and use it as inspiration. So let's talk about photo selection. In this evergreen collection, we have gray and we have acorn, which is kind of this brown color. But with the cool colors of the snow and my dog is grays and blacks, I want to stay away from the toffee and lean more toward the gray. And I know I'm also going to want this. I really want like strips of this snowflake and then maybe strips of this one that has kind of snowflakes and some sprigs. So I'll probably be cutting those into strips. We've got this gray here, and then we have just this dark green. And we also have these amazing zip strips that I'm going to try to incorporate, which I think is going to work well with our sketch. But just by selecting these papers and leaving out the toffee, leaving out the music, because obviously this has nothing to do with music. This would make some great Christmas layouts though, or other, any kind of other layouts too. But I think that this paper selection is going to work really nicely. Now I did get the workshop kit, which comes with a couple of extra papers. So there's these two patterns, and I was toying with using this one as my base page because I like the small print, the small subtle print. It's like a crosshatch print almost. So that could work as my background. If you didn't get the scrapbook workshop kit, there's also this pattern that's in the mix-ins. So it's like a toffee or acorn on the back, and then the other side is the gray. So this could work as well, and I'm probably going to try it with both. And then we'll also have some other embellishments because the scrapbooking kit comes with all of these little pop-out embellishments. So I'll probably be incorporating some of those. But let's go ahead and dive in, and I'll bring in some other, stamp sets and embellishments as we go. All right, let's choose our background paper first. This is the one from the mix-in, and what I like about it is that it has a little bit of that deeper gray in it, kind of in the background of that linen look, and I like how that looks with the darker gray in my dog's fur. And then this one over here, which is the background from the scrapbooking kit, it's really just one tone, and I really like how that darker pop, it's just such a subtle difference. Either one of them would look great, but I'm going to go ahead and go with this one just because it has that darker, those darker little speckles. And so now I want to pick out my my mats. So typically I mat my photos in white just to help brighten them and make them pop. Since my photos already have a lot of white in the background, I might not do that. I'm going to try these darker colors first. although you can tell up against this white, the snow isn't exactly bright white. It's got a little bit of a bluish hue to them. So if I put my photos right onto the gray, it really doesn't do much for me. I feel like it just kind of blends in. It just kind of, it doesn't make them pop at all. So let's try the green, because I do want to bring in some green because of all of the green in my papers. There's not much green in my layout, but we do have it in my daughter's little antler ears. So I want to pull more of that in, especially to go with the paper. And I think it's a nice additional color to contrast with the white and the gray. I do like this better than the gray, but just for fun, let's try it with the white, even though they're so light. I was thinking I wanted to try to save space on my page because I'm fitting so many photos on just a single page layout. But you know what? I just really like it on the white. There's something about a nice crisp white matte around my photos. I just really, really like it. So I'm not sure yet. I might matte them individually on white and then matte them all together on the green, so they each have a little bit of white around them, but then you'll also be able to see the green in between each one too. So I'll kind of play with that off camera, but let's see over here. White with the green or just green. You know what? I'm just a white matte kind of girl. I'm just gonna go with the double mattes. Now the sketch called for having a very skinny border all the way around my page, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut a border in the same green color. I'll cut this down just a tad and matte my photos, and then we'll come back. All right, I cut my paper. I cut a bunch of strips from those papers. I cut this top piece to 11.5 square, and then I thought I probably should show you how to gut this, because I know some people are not sure how to do that. It's very easy. I know that I need 1/2 inch all the way around, so I like to give myself about 1 inch. That gives me space to add my adhesive. So what you do is you put it in your paper trimmer over to the 1 inch, and then you're going to start the blade at the 1 inch, and then you're going to go up to 11 inches. And so you have that piece cut, and you'll do the same thing on all 4 sides. So I'm going over to the 1 inch mark. I know I used my paper trimmer upside down, so I'm putting my blade in at 11 inches approximately, pulling it down to 1, and I'll do that on the other 2 sides. Okay, so now we have that piece gutted out. I accidentally did 1 1/4 inch on one side, but that's okay. We have this that we can use for other things like mats or die cuts or anything else. And then let me pull up my Versamat. I forgot to pull this out earlier, but that's going to help us to line things up. I'm just going to put a little tape runner in 2 corners. Now we've got that all lined up, so then I can go ahead and make sure I'm doing the right side. This is the gray side. This side is the acorn side. So I'll add a little bit of adhesive around all of the sides, making sure I don't go more than 1 inch out. If you keep it right at the edge, you should be okay. I'm gonna go down to the 1/4 inch and over to the 1/4 inch. So this Versamat is very handy, and I will just line it up as best I can. I know I'm not completely over my paper because of the camera, so I might be a tiny bit off. And now we're ready to bring in our photos. So I purposely put the photos that have more blank space on this side so that I could overlap my photo. And I have even more down here because I was thinking I want to kind of have this photo angled and coming in on here. So we'll kind of play with that and might adjust it just depending on what papers I put down. But I definitely want to use this one. This is my favorite paper. Our inspiration layout had the strips just going across under here, leaving a spot to journal. But I think I might have it go all the way across, because since my photo is bigger and comes down further, I think it looks funny having this piece just go partially across. So let's see, we'll have it right here, and then I'll trim it right here. I actually probably will trim a little bit from each side just so these snowflakes have an even amount taken off each side. And then we have these other pieces. These two were zip strips, and this is a strip of patterned paper. And I'm thinking that I want this one next as kind of a separator between whatever I choose. I think that's too many snowflakes on top of snowflakes, but I like this one, and I like how this dark separates the ones that have a little more white in it. I think I might even have less of that green showing. I cut a 1/2 inch strip, but I think I'll have about 1/4 of an inch show, like that. And then this piece can kind of just barely rest on that, which is the same as the photo, the inspiration layout. And then this will come out, and you'll see this piece continuing over on this side. So I think I'm liking that. And then just to kind of balance that out up top, I want one of these pieces up here. Again, we'll have the green border all the way around. I will trim it. And do I want that one? Or do I want that skinnier one? I really, really like this zip strip, but I think the look of this one will help it to be more continuous because it looks more like it goes with this. And I kind of like that it's a little more substantial, and I think I'm gonna have the room. I'm gonna have these little sprigs like they're pointing down. So you could have them going up if you want. I think if they were at the bottom, I'd have them going up, but I kind of want to have them coming out from the top. I'll probably ink around the edges of some of these. There is a little bit of border on this though, because there was some pine, a solid line of pine on here, and a solid line of sage. So there is a little bit. Maybe I can get away with that. We'll see what else I choose. So I'll set this aside, and then I pulled some stickers. I really want to use the snowflake stickers, and don't worry, I got another paper pack with sticker sheets so that I would have plenty of these cute snowflake stickers. So I'm kind of gonna just play around with where I want them. I feel like this is so dark. If I'm gonna use this as an embellishment, I need to have that in 3 points of my layout to create that visual triangle, because everything else is pretty light and airy so far. We just have this very skinny strip of pine. So if I'm gonna use this, I might actually tuck it under here. I'll need to pull some more pine, so let me see what I can find. I found these two embellishments from the pop-outs from the scrapbook kit. So I'm thinking that maybe this could go up here. So we've got the visual triangle, we need something here, and this could maybe tuck in here. I could also use this over here, but I feel like I've got a bigger, like if I moved this over here, I feel like I have a bigger space here. This tag just doesn't seem big enough for that space. I think it'll be good tucked up here. So now we've got our visual triangle with the green, and I can decide what other ones I want to bring in. I think I want this one here because I have a really big blank spot here that I could, cover most of that up. So I might put that like here, and I could trim off the side. By the way, I did take the stick off of these stickers already with my little anti-static pouch. I'll link to this down in the supply list below, along with all of the other supplies that I'm using. I like to use that to just kind of dab on the back of my stickers. This one has a little too much stick still. Just a few times like this, and there's powder in here that sticks to the back of the sticker and makes it not sticky. And so then I can kind of play around with them like embellishments. So that could go here. Maybe have it, I like having my clusters kind of wrap around. So I might move these over just a hair so this can sort of wrap around. And then I'll need a piece of twine on there. I found this twine in my stash, and this I think might be a good way to introduce just a little bit of that acorn color that's in the paper pack, but just not too much. And I might bring that in just a few little tiny places because we do have a little bit of brown in here. So we'll just have little tiny pops, but it's mostly going to be the grays and greens. These sprigs also came in the scrapbooking kit, and they're actually available separately as well. The pack that's available separately comes with white and craft. So the green is only available in the scrapbooking kit, but it comes with a whole bunch of the green sprigs. But you could also color these, or there's a digital art collection that comes with SVGs that you can pull into Cricut Design Space and cut your own little sprigs if you want. But since I have these, I thought I would use them. Some of them, looks like these two are a little smaller than this one. So I could pull different ones, but these are just the ones I grabbed. So we'll see if I want the bigger one there, or do I want it down here with the bigger snowflake? Let's see how I like that snowflake. This sprig looks a little bit dwarfed compared to this snowflake. So let's try that. I might scoot this in just a hair so I have a little more room here. I'm gonna try to put I will put a title there, so I need to kind of think about leaving a little space for that. I have some ideas in mind, but I haven't totally decided. Put that up there, and this one can kind of come out from there. And I'll put these in a few different spots too. I think having that one come out here. This one doesn't show up a ton. Maybe have it sticking down into the white area a little bit more. I had these hearts in my stash, and I think that these are going to be a good addition. I think I need a little bit something here, and just scatter these around to bring in. They match this perfectly. I think I need another little banner up here. The other banners that came with the scrapbook kit are these ones. I'm going to try this because it does introduce, it's a little bit more acorny, if that makes sense, than that one. So let's see if I like that. Otherwise, I'll just cut my own banner. I think that's bringing in more brown than I want. I want this one because it's a little bit lighter. So I'll cut my own.
I'm going to be real sneaky here and cut a little piece from the zip strip that's going to be hidden behind that photo anyway. I was trying to find another pattern that I wanted to use up there, and I didn't really want any of the other patterns from the paper pack, and I liked this one, and I liked that it draws that same pattern up to the top since we only have it down below, and I think that that looks perfect.
Now, I had two ideas in mind for the title. This is the stamp of the month, and I was playing with this idea, having it say grateful for all the cherished moments. I thought that's great for, even though these pictures are 2019 and, you know, she was alive and well back then, that still works. And then looking back now that she's gone, it's just a really sweet sentiment. But I didn't really like how it fit the space. This would have fit and this would have fit under it, but with the hanging F right here, I really would have liked this to kind of, or well, this one, to really just fit right under grateful. You know, I could do this in a lighter color and overlap it, or stamp this and then stamp this and cut it out and put it over there. But I found something that I think I like even better, and I'll save this for her memorial album that I do. So this set is the Wonderland scrapbooking set. It's been around for 2 or 3 years now, but it is still available. And I thought that this Winter Wonderland would be cute. So I was just playing around with it, and I tried it with black and pine. And I really like how this looks, how it fits. I like how it overlaps this snowflake just a bit. It fits this space perfectly. I might move this over just a tiny bit. Still need to glue everything down. But I'm going to try another color combo. So I did the black because we do have a lot of really dark gray in her coat here. And then the pine goes with the pine of everything else. But then I thought, well, what if I try charcoal? So it's not so stark. It does, you know, I do like how it stands out, but I thought, you know what, let's just try charcoal. I might come back to the black. And then what if I do a two-tone on the trees, do sage and then kind of roll it in the pines so the trees are kind of two-tone. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because this is all one stamp, but I'm going to use my Misty and show you how I'm going to try. Okay, so I have my paper and my stamp in my Misty. First, I'm going to start with the lightest color first. I'm not sure how much it matters. And I do have my stamp chamois right here because I'm going to have to rub off some of the color. But I'll start with the sage and try to really get just the trees. And then I'll wipe off where it got down here. Okay, and then we'll stamp just the first pass. And that looks pretty good. So you want to make sure you season your stamp first, especially since these trees and the sentiment are pretty solid. So I seasoned it by rubbing it on my hands first and then stamping it and practicing on some paper until you get a pretty good solid image. The nice thing about using the Misty is that if you need to, you can go back more times. I did my first time, but I am okay here. Okay, so now this is a little easier if you have one stamp where you want to roll the whole thing in it. But since we only want to roll part of the stamp in it, I'm going to use a sponge jobber to help me. I have a brand new one for pine and I just wrote pine on it with my paint pen. And I'm going to get this nice and inky and just kind of dab around the edges. And this is going to give us a nice dark kind of shadow to the trees. But going on it with your sponge will give a lighter look than going direct with the stamp pad. So we'll get a lighter look, and we can always do this again if we want it darker. I'm going to go ahead and wipe off what I got onto the title. Cross your fingers. Hope this looks as good as I have in my head. Sometimes it doesn't. That looks so cool. So I missed some pieces that I didn't wipe off completely, but I think that's going to be okay because the charcoal is darker. So let's get that back in place. And now we'll clean this whole thing off, and then I'll do the same thing with the charcoal on just the title, but just the solid charcoal. I'm not going to do two-tone on that. All right, I think that looks really good. I did the charcoal twice to make it really dark. I wanted it dark, but just not quite as dark as the black. So let's see how that looks when I pull my layout in. Oh my gosh, I definitely like that better. And the beautiful thing about this set is that there is a die for all of the titles. So I'll just go ahead and die cut this off camera and then we'll come back. I glued everything down and I just love how this turned out. I did want to point out that I cut this snowflake in half, so I do have half of this to use for something else. Added a couple extra little hearts that I didn't have before. I put the title up on thin 3D foam tape just so it would have a little bit of dimension. And then I added my journaling over here. I thought about adding it on the tag. I tried a silver paint pen, a white gel pen, and just on scrap cardstock, and I didn't love the look. I wanted it to be more subtle over here. So it just says, Zeta lives for her family and for snow days. She loves both fiercely. I decided to do it in present tense for back then instead of past tense. Zeta lived for her family because I'll save that for her memorial album, and this is going to go into my 2019 album. So I hope you enjoyed. You can find photos, close-ups, and everything over on Instagram. I have my links for social media linked down in the description below, along with all the supplies. Be sure to check the video that's on screen now for another snow type layout in a very different color combo. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.